At the foot of the Black Mountains, a stone's throw from the Welsh-English border, lies Llwyn Celyn. Until recently, it's been used as a farmhouse. Along with the main building, there are 4 outhouses and 2 substantial barns, and it sits in over 20 acres of land. The house could be anything from 450 to 600 years old. For historian Anna Kay, one thing is certain: it's on the brink of ruin.
Well, there's no getting away from the fact that this house is in a pretty dismal state. Ceilings are collapsing, the wall surfaces are peeling away, the various wall surfaces. The water comes flowing through here like a river. You know, it's only hanging on by its fingernails, really. But you have to look beyond that. You have to look beyond that, because what is actually behind all the collapsing, peeling, soggy surfaces is the most sensational house.
Incredibly, Llwyn Celyn still bristles with medieval detail.
These are the most perfect door heads, beautifully carved, and here they are still.
It's original features like these that have convinced the Landmark Trust that this is a truly special building, despite knowing so little about its origin.
There are still quite big things that we really don't know about this place, and really important things. For example, who it was built for, exactly what function it performed originally. And I think probably the real key to all of that, and the single thing I'd most like to know, is exactly when it was built.
Some experts believe it may have been built around 1480, but if Anna and her team can discover the exact year, it will go a long way to justifying their belief that Llwyn Celyn is worth rescuing.
It is actually about establishing what we believe in our sort of guts to be the case, which is that this is a really, really important building. It's not just any other farmhouse. Because if it's any other farmhouse, why on earth are we spending nearly £5 million on it? It's our faith that it isn't, and that it has a story and a kind of provenance that makes it equal to things you might see in the British Museum, that is the reason that we're here and we are, you know, on the trail of Llwyn Celyn.
The Prince of Wales is the patron of the Trust, and he's come to visit before renovation work even begins.
So this was the hall.
The Trust specialise in transforming ruined buildings of historic importance into unique places to stay.
When you lose a building, it's gone forever. You can't get it back. They're gone. And with them, it's actually our ability to touch the lives and the experience of our ancestors.
In April 2016, the restoration begins. The first stage is to strip the building back to uncover as much of its history and original features as possible. So Anna, architect John Goom, and the Trust surveyor Richard Burton are all eager to investigate what's been covered up.
The thing about old buildings is that they hold their story within them often, and you need to sort of prise that out, tease that out of them. Ah! Don't break it. Are we going to keep it?
The 1960s fireplace is removed.
Well, ever since I first came to this building, which was 3 years ago, I've been absolutely longing to see what's behind this fireplace. So it's really exciting.
A second layer of brickwork is stripped away to reveal signs of a Victorian range, over 100 years old.
This is the exciting part. Well, because we knew that there was a range there, but it's what lies behind that that's the unknown.
As stone and brick are removed, further layers of history are revealed. The original flue, unseen for over a century.
You can see perfectly the whole of the interior of the chimney, as originally built in whenever it was, 1600 or something. I can see the jackdaw's nests up there.
But the fireplace has even more secrets to reveal.
Oh, there's a void.
Hang on.
Oh my goodness, what is in there?
There is your bread oven. Can we have a bit more?
This is very exciting.
We have a bread oven. We do have a bread oven.
Oh, absolutely.
We do have a bread oven.
Brilliant. You can see all the stone coursing in the back. Yeah. What an amazing thing.
Enormous rounded one.
Old fireplaces can be historical treasure troves. Discoveries like these at the very start of the project go some way to supporting Anna's faith in the building's historic value. The fireplace can now be repaired and preserved for centuries to come.
We want people to be able to light fires again in that fireplace, so that will all work quite well with having that. There's no problem with having the bread oven with that.
Yeah, I think that will work absolutely fine.
Llwyn Celyn's main building currently has a ground floor hall and kitchen and 2 bedrooms on the first floor. Adjacent is the derelict solar wing, with 2 unusable ground floor storerooms and on the first floor, what were once 2 bedrooms. But its original layout was very different. Llwyn Celyn is a rare surviving example of a hall house, a medieval type of building usually built any time between the 11th and 17th centuries. Originally, the main building would not have had a first floor, and instead was one great hall, open to the roof. This would have been the building's social hub, a space for dining, welcoming visitors, conducting business, and for the servants to sleep. The solar wing contained the private rooms of the master of the house. Llwyn Celyn is the Landmark Trust's 200th renovation project, and at £4 million, by far its most expensive. The Trust was set up to save unique historic buildings to help people connect with the past.
This magical little building is called Warden Abbey. It's in Bedfordshire. It still stands as a wonderful little kind of echo of the past, a little sort of sentinel in a field of an age completely gone.
A fragment of a medieval monastery, Warden Abbey was later absorbed into a grand Tudor house. The house has a 900-year history, but before its renovation had suffered fires, structural collapses, and just like Llwyn Celyn, was on the verge of collapse.
Easy to stand in a building like Llwyn Celyn and just feel defeated by it, like it's just beyond retrieving. But then looking back at what's happened in the past and the buildings that we have managed to save gives you faith that it is possible to do it.
And if Llwyn Celyn can be rescued, like Warden Abbey, it won't become a museum. It will be a unique place to stay that will be open to everyone.
The way we do things is creating a place where people feel transported somehow. You're pushing through the coats in the back of the wardrobe like the Pevensey children into a new, different world. And that's a very delicate thing to try and pull off.
But before desperately needed structural work begins, conservation manager Alistair Dick Cleland and ecologist Richard Crompton arrive to investigate something lurking in the attic.
What we call a night feeding perch.
Yes, great piles of droppings.
That's right. Very distinctive, small droppings composed entirely of insect fragments.
Yeah.
The house has some unwelcome visitors.
If you look through this hole in the floor,
Right.
and look right up to the ridge, you might just be able to spot a couple of little plum-shaped objects.
Oh, another one there.
That's it.
Yes. Yes.
A couple of our lesser horseshoe bats.
Right.
Lesser horseshoe bats are heavily protected by UK law. Renovation work cannot proceed until they've been safely moved to alternative accommodation. All efforts to save Llwyn Celyn are halted before they even begin. Close to the English-Welsh border is Llwyn Celyn, a rare surviving example of a medieval hall house. It's thought to be between 450 and 600 years old, but its exact age is not known. Anna Kay, director of the Landmark Trust, is convinced that Llwyn Celyn is a building of great importance. She's leading a £4 million project with two objectives: to uncover the building's historic secrets and rescue it before it's lost forever.
If we weren't doing this project and this place was left as it has been for 2 or 3 more years, I really don't think this house would exist. We are actually saving it from destruction, and that feels so urgent.
But the discovery of rare and strictly protected lesser horseshoe bats has halted work to save this historic building.
The fact that we have got bats, how are we going to manage that?
And people often say to you, oh, goodness, if you've got bats in your roof, you can't do anything about them. Now, actually, that's not true. It is, in fact, possible to move bats on, but it just has to be done in the right way to not fall foul of the law.
Yeah.
All work to save Llwyn Celyn is now on hold. To comply with bat protection legislation, alternative accommodation must be built for the bats before they can be moved. It's going to cost a lot of time and money.
It is pretty frustrating, it has to be said, when we've managed to raise nearly £4.5 million and we're on site and we really can't get on with restoring the house until we've built the new 5-star bat accommodation. So that's a real frustration, and it's holding us up already.
Part of a ruined outbuilding that was once used to produce and store cider must now be converted into a bespoke bat roost. It's designed to provide these rare creatures with the perfect living conditions. And until this work is complete, stonemason Ash and his colleagues cannot begin to save the main house.
That's the front door. The idea is that they swoop up and go up in there. Whether it'll work, I don't know. Conservation jobs can't be rushed, and I've got a saying on the firm, it's done when it's done and it's ready when it's ready.
Work on the bat roost goes on for 6 months.
They'll all come from the main house, hopefully, into this part here. We can start taking the roof off the old house then, and we should not disturb them, because that's what it's all about, not disturbing the bats.
As summer turns to autumn, Anna returns to find out if all the time and money spent on the bats has been worth it.
Haven't been to site for 3 months, but we've had some real progress, so I want to see that.
The cider house has been converted into a bat roost.
Oh my goodness. So this must be the amazing bat tower. It's hollow on the inside, and then there's all these funny kind of crevices which the bats are going to go in. So it's sort of like a fake interior of a building or a cave or something that the bats are going to immediately take to. And it's quite sort of weird, really. It's a sort of surreal structure. But anyway, apparently it's what they like.
Before work can begin for humans, Anna needs evidence that the new bat roost is being used.
So this is the roof space. And there's bits of white paper put around which are to catch any new bat droppings. And in here, on the floor, there are lots of bat droppings that have been put here deliberately to try and encourage bats to feel that this is, you know, their kind of place. So if I shine my torch, none on there. Ooh. Oh my goodness, look at that. Loads of bat droppings on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6.
These bat droppings are the proof Anna needs that the bat problem has been solved.
The first time in my life that I've been really excited to see a single bat dropping, because on this tiny little bit of bat guano, our whole project hinges.
Six months after work to move the bats began, and with winter fast approaching, the team begins saving Llwyn Celyn. Over centuries, Earth from the hillside has built up against the side of the house, causing water to run through the building when it rains.
We've done big projects, but there's a lot to take on. There's a lot of earth to come out of here, something like 300 to 400 tonne of soil. 14, Rich!
Wherever possible, the Trust want to renovate using techniques and materials that are sympathetic to the building's history. Original sandstone roof tiles that have lasted centuries are removed and, where possible, saved for later use.
And now we're in the process of just sorting through them, really, because, you know, they're like gold dust anyway.
The house continues to reveal details and features that have survived the test of time.
500 years ago, they would have put an oak peg in the hole rather than an aluminium one. That's probably all that's changed.
Once the tiles are off, master carpenters can attempt to restore the original hand-carved oak roof trusses. After decades of neglect, they are on the verge of collapse. 60 meters of new oak beams are cut to size, designed to dovetail into the originals and preserve as much as possible of this historic roof.
Big lump of timber, the main beam through the bottom. Yeah, it's a 10 by 12 inch and it's 6.5 meters long. Yeah, it's some serious weight there. You wouldn't want to try and tackle it by yourself.
Exterior stonework is repaired using local red sandstone from nearby quarries and lime mortar that, unlike cement, allows the building to breathe. Now Anna has returned, as another architectural detail, hidden for centuries, has been unearthed.
Really, really exciting thing is we've just discovered a window, perhaps an original window, in the gable wall of the main house itself, in the solar wall. And it is possibly a 15th century window.
The exact age of the house, or identity of its original owner, is still not known. But each new discovery could bring the team one step closer to proving their theory that this really is a building of great historic value. Spending a lot of money just to enjoy a view suggests that the original owner was rich and powerful.
This is the window opening here, and not only can you identify where you've got a straight joint and an opening's been filled in, but the inside splay of the window's there, and it's got plaster layer on it. In fact, it looks like it's got 2 layers. The likelihood is that it is pretty early, this window, therefore, and it might be what we call primary, which is it might be part of the original design of the building that there would be a window here.
A lot of craft went into creating this window, and it can now be opened up, and a view that was enjoyed for centuries appreciated once again. Inside, much of Llwyn Celyn's original wooden framework is rotten. Oak was the medieval building timber of choice. And to repair the house's ancient skeleton, conservation carpenter Simon Bufton is using techniques a 15th century craftsman would recognize.
This type of work is all by hand, where it's all to do with chisels, mallets, planes, and pair of hands.
As work continues, another view into the past is revealed.
The exciting thing about being here this week is that it is the only time, more or less, in the last 500 years when it's been possible to see an original feature of the building. So if you follow me over here, above my head here, you can see through where the floor above has been taken up into the roof space. And the reason that's so exciting is that when Llwyn Celyn was built, the main structure, the main feature of the site was a single double-height Great Hall, of which only now a divided part remains.
As a medieval hall house, Llwyn Celyn's main hall would have been open to the ceiling. The first floor would have been added much later, along with the central fireplace and chimney, probably in the 17th century. Anna and the team intend to reinstate this section of the first floor once the beams have been restored. But for these few days, it's a rare opportunity to experience the building in its original form.
When the people who lived here in the 15th century were sitting down to their dinner, they would have had this view right up into the magnificent roof itself and then down to the end of the room. And it is one of the joys of these projects, is that the opportunity of taking the building to pieces, to mend, is one which gives you the chance to glimpse moments of the building's past which have been lost for centuries.
Lower Brockhampton Manor in Herefordshire offers a rare chance to experience a medieval hall open to the roof. Now Anna's come to experience just how Llwyn Celyn used to be.
It is actually really spooky because this must have been exactly what the Llwyn Celyn Hall was like before our floor was put across. To see the scale here and to see what the impact of this magnificent roof is, it is wonderful to see what it once must have been.
There are other historical parallels between here and Llwyn Celyn.
This big fireplace we've got here now is later, as our fireplaces at Llwyn Celyn, and both of them originally had a central hearth, an open hearth on the middle of the floor, and the fire crackled away there and the smoke wafted up. And it's easy to think of an arrangement with an open hearth as being rather kind of rustic and sort of, you know, slightly sort of barbarian, but it absolutely wasn't. Henry VIII at Hampton Court Palace, later than both these buildings, had an open hearth in the middle of his great hall, and the smoke did the same. And it wasn't because they couldn't build chimneys, they knew perfectly well how to build chimneys. It's because this was what a great hall had. This was a sign of your sort of ancient lordship, that this was the way in which you arranged things and you entertained.
Brockhampton is known to be nearly 600 years old. But Anna still doesn't know when Llwyn Celyn was built, or by whom. She and her colleagues estimate it was built in the 1480s, but until now could not be sure. Now a brand new scientific technique of dating medieval timber might provide an exact date. In an effort to discover the origins of Llwyn Celyn, core samples have been sent for analysis. As work to save the house continues, Anna and the team can only wait and hope for an answer to when Llwyn Celyn was built. Conservation charity the Landmark Trust are working to rescue Llwyn Celyn, a Grade 1 listed building on the Welsh-English border. No one knows when it was built, but it's thought to be in the late 15th century. One of the biggest jobs is repairing its huge roof, which is made up of hand-cut stone tiles, some over 500 years old. Leading the project is Anna Kay, who is on her way to Callow Quarry, less than 10 miles from Llwyn Celyn, where thousands of replacement tiles must be sourced.
One of the real joys of Llwyn Celyn is its roofs. The main house has got this fantastic sandstone tiled roof. And we're able to reuse almost all the unbroken tiles on that roof as we mend it, but that still leaves us quite a lot short. So the hope is that we can fill those gaps with new stone tiles that are very similar to the old ones and which are lifted out of the ground just a few miles away from the house.
Llwyn Celyn's tiles are being extracted and shaped using techniques similar to those used hundreds of years ago.
Hello, I'm Anna. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
I'm Billy.
Hi, Billy.
Hi.
So look, it's just coming out like in great big pieces like this.
We've been quarrying here for 17 years.
Okay, so you're not going to run out?
No.
That's good news.
Energy we're running out of.
I don't believe that.
Scrape the mud away. It looks like this is going to be a tile there. We removed this bit, which wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
But that looked far more promising.
Yeah, it looks lovely, doesn't it, that piece?
Yeah.
Very
Could be
even and...
2 tiles, perhaps. Only another 2,000 to go.
Sandstone is a sedimentary rock, which means that it was laid down and compressed in layers. This makes it possible to dig it up in flat slabs that can be turned into
Yeah,
tiles.
that's really good. Perfect.
Oh, that one worked. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
That's 440 million years old, Anna. Hasn't been seen before, so you're the first person to see that.
It looks like it's been painted to look like that.
Here's where we make the tiles in our little tile shed.
There's no machines anywhere, is there?
No machines.
No.
A local quarry just like this one would have provided thousands of tiles for Llwyn Celyn
like
in the
that.
15th century.
So I try and do it by eye as much as I can.
To shape the original tiles, medieval quarrymen would have used similar methods to Billy.
I'm just trying to think how many tiles like this Llwyn Celyn would take.
Yeah, well, I'm estimating 9,000 tiles.
How many of these do you get through a day when you're doing this?
50, 60 a
Wow,
day.
really?
And then you've had enough. That's the way old the stone as well. That's good. Yes!
Hey!
Look
Oh.
at that! Doesn't matter. Lovely. I think you're a natural. And that's a tile that you have helped make for Llwyn Celyn.
It's so timeless, isn't it? I mean, this must have been exactly what was happening, you know, in the reign of Richard III.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Over half the tiles needed at Llwyn Celyn will be reused originals. The rest will come from this quarry and range in size from 3 foot by 2 foot for large surface areas to 7 inches by 6 inches for corners and edges.
It's wonderful seeing Billy and his guys at work on those pieces of stone because actually Billy and his colleagues as craftsmen have a kind of hotline to the past that those of us who are not actual doers just don't have. And it makes talking to them and seeing them at work pure pleasure.
Back at Llwyn Celyn, craftsmen still have a tremendous amount of work to do before the house is remotely habitable. Originally, all cooking would have taken place in the main Great Hall. Over time, extra buildings were added to the house, including a kitchen wing at the back. A key part of the plan for Llwyn Celyn is to transform this ancient extension into a modern kitchen.
What I want you to do is just have a look at the kitchen, just to measure it up so that we can manufacture it.
John Evitts is in charge of fitting out and furnishing the property
Anyway, it's in here.
and ensuring modern additions are in keeping with the building's historic aesthetic.
The kitchen is at the end here. We've got the outline of it, and I just want you to measure up these spaces where we're going to put the units.
John uses a network of craftsmen to create bespoke furnishings containing all mod cons.
This is where these sort of properties get quite interesting. There's nothing in this room that's square or upright. Straight away, that's not 90 degrees. I don't think that's probably 90 degrees there. You've got to work all these things out and make sure that you're correct at the end of the day, because you look a bit of a wally if it doesn't fit.
Mark Smitten will hand make the kitchen furniture off-site.
And what I'm thinking is that we'll have the white goods under here, dishwasher and everything else.
The house will be made available for guests to rent, so John must tread a fine line between sensitive renovation and practical modernization.
We do everything else, you know, as it might have been at the time the building was built, but our kitchens and bathrooms are modern. Priorities are that everything should be where you want them to be. You won't know where the cups and saucers live, or where the pots and pans live, or where, you know, where the fridge is necessarily. And you don't want to spend your entire holiday opening and closing cupboards looking for the garlic crusher.
Anna is also on site to check on progress.
Hey, John.
Hi, Anna.
So, kitchen?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel much like a kitchen yet, does it?
No, but it's going to be all right. We've been measuring up today.
Upstairs, the original window that Anna last saw blocked up has been opened and now gives a view not seen for centuries.
One of the best views you could ever wish for. Anyway, that's going to be lovely, isn't it, people? Are you going to put it, we can have a little cushion on one of those nice window seats.
Do I look like a cushion sort of a person?
The repair of Llwyn Celyn's ancient roof continues well into summer. Paul Steele, the principal roofer, has now been working on it for 9 months.
Hiya. Hi. These are a lovely detail.
Welsh Open Valley, yeah. The first one we did took quite a while.
Yeah.
In an era before lead was commonly available, the Welsh Open Valley technique was used to ensure junctions in the roof were watertight. Determined to preserve as much as possible of the building's historical integrity, craftsmen like Paul have researched every last detail.
We just searched online and found a picture. And that's all we've had to follow, just one picture, that's all we can find.
So you've had to literally kind of work back the geometry of it from the picture?
Yeah.
Golly.
Just like the original roofers, centuries before him, Paul has used a traditional triple overlap technique, which uses up thousands of tiles, and where possible, reusing those that have survived the test of time. The roof weighs around 58 tons.
You have that underneath, the two above.
That's 3 overlapping there, isn't it?
Yeah, but they do overlap 3 times.
So these are all ones that we salvaged from the original roof?
Yeah.
What proportion were you able actually to reuse?
It's probably around about 2/3, I'd say.
Okay, so that's pretty good. It's pretty amazing to see it all now.
Well, I just enjoy this kind of work because, like you say, it is like a jigsaw puzzle, so in a way it's therapeutic.
Is it? I think it's absolutely extraordinary what you've done here. The way it catches the light and the shadows that you see. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Now it looks like it lasts 1,000 years.
Thank you.
Anna and her team are trying to uncover the history of Llwyn Celyn's past as it's renovated. Until now, it's not been possible to discover a precise date for when it was built. It could be anything from 450 to 600 years old. And Anna has always believed that the 1480s is the most likely. Now there's hope that a brand new high-tech approach might deliver a definitive answer.
The timber samples from Llwyn Celyn have been sent here to Swansea University, where some very exciting, completely new science is being done on timber, which I'm really hoping might finally give us a date for the building. Hi, Neil.
Neil Loader is part of a team pioneering a groundbreaking scientific technique that has never previously been used to date a building, but might just give Anna the answers she wants.
So this is where it all happens.
I've got a piece of wood here under the microscope, which is a subsample from the core that we took from Llwyn Celyn. If you have a look, you'll be able to see...
So that under there is, as it were, a little thin version of that.
A subsection of this core.
So when you look at this, then, which bit is the bit that's most useful to you?
So for us, we're interested in the dense, darker part of the tree ring.
Rings are the record of a tree's life, each one signifying a single year's growth. As the tree grows, unique levels of an oxygen isotope are locked into each ring. It's these isotope levels that Neil is looking for. To get them, samples have to be processed and then analysed in a mass spectrometer.
And this is one of our samples, so this is from Llwyn Celyn.
Indeed, yeah.
I can't believe that this is the graph that's going to...
Wow.
It's going to give us the date.
Once results from Llwyn Celyn's oak beams are compared with a master database, Anna will discover exactly when the house was built.
The incredible thing is that this tiny, minuscule little blob of what looks like tinfoil, something you might find in the bottom of your jeans pocket, contains the information that is going to give us a date for Llwyn Celyn, finally. And it seems almost unimaginable because our roof is so huge and so heavy and this thing is so absolutely tiny. But Neil says that it does give him the data he needs. And so after 5 years, I'm going to learn what I've been longing to know, which is, when was that building built?
For 2 years, conservation charity the Landmark Trust have been restoring a medieval house on the Welsh-English border called Llwyn Celyn. Anna and the team are convinced it's a medieval masterpiece, But despite raising over £4 million to rescue the building, they still don't know when it was built or for whom. They've worked on the assumption that it might have been built in the 1480s, but now a pioneering analysis of the house's oak beams might just provide an exact date.
So Neil, just how confident are you about this date, that it's definitely right?
The chances of this happening in error are tens of thousands to one.
Oh, okay, that's exciting.
So these are the results, and I thought that perhaps you'd be interested in what we found.
Oh, I feel incredibly nervous. No, is that right?
Yes, we verified this as well with...
1420?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Exactly. So
that's about 60 years earlier than we even... How extraordinary.
Anna has always known the building was somewhere between 450 and 600 years old, but now at last has an exact date for when Llwyn Celyn was built.
So I'm feeling a bit speechless after this extraordinary revelation about the date. It's really so different in a wonderful way to what we had imagined so much earlier that it really requires a big rethink. And lots of ideas going through my head because the early 15th century, the 1420s, which is where we now are, is a whole different context because there'd just been essentially a civil war in Wales, a great uprising against the English, and masses of buildings were destroyed. And maybe this is what our building is about. Maybe it was part of this rebuilding, this reconstruction after all that turmoil. But I need to get some fresh air and to think about it all very carefully before we jump to any conclusions. But it is super exciting.
The Welsh uprising began in 1400, led by Owain Glyndŵr, who proclaimed himself Prince of Wales and rapidly took over much of the country. For over 10 years, war and insecurity ravaged the borderlands around Llanthony Priory, which owned the land on which Llwyn Celyn was later built. The area was raided repeatedly, and the priory almost destroyed as the English wrestled back control. However, in 1420, the priory may still have been rich enough to build a house like Llwyn Celyn. If Llwyn Celyn is 60 years older than previously thought, then this makes it one of the oldest surviving houses in Wales. But who built it, and why? Edward Impey, a specialist in medieval buildings, has arrived to help Anna weigh up the evidence.
It does all look great, I must say. Great roofing job.
So the big excitement is that as of literally a few days ago, we've got a date. It's given us 1420, and I suppose that means that we're looking at a different 2 generations earlier than we thought.
We are. I mean, I think it's a very, very interesting period, because that's after this part of the country has been ravaged and the land is almost worthless. So somebody with a lot of money is coming here and building a house. Great expense. It's a grand house. It's got to have a jolly good reason for doing it.
I find that so exciting if that works. But listen, come and have a look inside, because I want to know whether you still think that once you've seen some of the detail.
Yeah, let's go and have a look.
The house's surviving medieval details could hold clues to who built it.
So obviously this feature's quite interesting.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Medieval rooms very often had built-in furniture, in other words, in the walls.
Yeah.
And you can see this has had doors fitted to it. It's for something important. And I wonder if it's a book cupboard, because book niches are quite a common feature in medieval houses and in monastic buildings.
Yeah. It's got to be pretty precious, whatever you're...
And books are valuable.
Something catches Edward's eye, above shields, probably designed to display the owner's coat of arms.
There's another very interesting feature which you can see here, which is this piece of cornice. That cornice would have run all the way along this wall, to that far corner over there. I think it's probably related to what is called a dais canopy.
The canopy would have gone above the dais, a raised area set aside for the master of the house and other people of high status. In the hallway are 2 beautifully carved oak door heads that the restoration team believe were original features that have survived the test of time.
Now that we know the roof is 1420, looking at these, are these also 1420 then? Does that work?
Yeah, I think it works very well. And particularly those details, you see the leaning in curved detailing, which is called a mouchette. That's a classic thing of that period.
This thing
that
here?
Bit, yeah. So it's very exciting to have the date plus all this stylistic stuff in one place.
Coming back to the issue of who it was built for, what is it saying to you in terms of its quality that might inform a supposition about who built it?
Well, a lot. I mean, that's very, very good work. And that's expensive. A craftsman doing that's paid a lot. So this isn't a yeoman, a farmer. This isn't a tenant. This is somebody who's got a lot of money and can spend it all at once on one building, one big building. The priory itself's been burnt, or partly burnt.
Yeah.
So what do? They send somebody out here to build a house, supervise the regeneration of the estate, and to act as a kind of substitute place for meeting people now that the priory is no longer suitable for purpose. Well, that's being rebuilt.
So it could be that Llwyn Celyn was used by the prior, the head of Llanthony Priory.
So you can imagine after 1420, when the local priory here recovers a bit, you can imagine the prior of this Llanthony would have come and spent time in this house rather than in the priory.
Yeah.
Classic, normal pattern. So that again makes sense, doesn't it?
Wow.
Anna now has a date of construction and a theory that the house was built by the prior of Llanthony as part of a regeneration project at the end of the Welsh Rebellion. 600 years after Llwyn Celyn was built, a new team of craftsmen are attempting to preserve the building's ancient details whilst ensuring it lasts another 6 centuries. Over 2 years have passed since work began. In 2015, it was a leaking, perilous ruin with rare bats in the attic. As summer blooms, Anna returns to see the progress that's been made.
It's really, really exciting to be coming here today because I haven't been here for a couple of months. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what it is actually like.
For the first time in over 2 decades, the scaffolding and plastic protecting Llwyn Celyn from the elements is gone, revealing the house to Anna for the first time. Rescued from the hillside, it has a fantastic new roof of ancient and freshly quarried tiles.
It's like a sort of butterfly coming out of its chrysalis and looking absolutely dazzling. We took this building on more than 5 years ago, but we never actually really seen it because it's been under the scaffolding the whole time. It has survived, and it's more than that, it's kind of been revived. It makes me feel quite emotional about it, actually, and I look at all the guys here on site who are doing all the work and who've kind of lovingly effected this amazing rescue, and I think of all the effort that's gone into it and the journey that it has been so far, and it feels extraordinary.
The house has been saved, but a vast amount of work still needs to be done to bring the interior back to life.
It's one thing to mend the masonry and deal with the roof. It's another thing completely to make this into a wonderful place for people actually to live in. The job that John's yet got to do here is a massive one, and the clock now is firmly ticking.
Anna now knows that Llwyn Celyn was built nearly 600 years ago and has a theory regarding for whom. But many questions remain about those who lived here in the centuries that followed and the transformations that occurred as the building evolved through time. There's still a long way to go before she can be confident that the decision to rescue and renovate this medieval masterpiece will have paid off.
Finally, at last, after years and years and years, you can actually see Llwyn Celyn coming back to life. And until now, it's been a massive sort of leap of imagination, really, thinking that this could be possible. And today, it's actually real. And it feels like that the beginning has ended and we're on towards the end.
Next time, modernization causes problems.
That's a complete no-no. I'm sorry, we can't have that.
Historic details are brought back to life.
It looks amazing. I can see why you wanted to come up here.
And with time running out, John must furnish Llwyn Celyn.
This is really exciting. It's like sort of Christmas.
All in time for the official opening by the Prince of Wales.
There's nothing like a deadline to concentrate the mind.